Alright guys, this is going to be a late start to this PSL match. So, we're joining late on the first set in the first half. We already have Roman in the chat. How's it going? Alright, so... I'm probably going to restart the intro here in about 5 seconds, because the first 30 seconds will get cut off for live viewers by the delay. So, we have... VK's team, F1, F3. I actually muted somebody here. Anyway, with VK's team, F1, F3 versus Nadros' team. So far, we are up 2-0 in favor of Nadros, or All Naddy is their team name. Which, as you can tell, it's a play on words for the word Nadros. Anyways, this is not going so well for VK's team right now. It's a pretty rough start right now, and it looks like they're about to probably lose this round as well. I'm still getting my bearings on the eco situation here, but that fight did not go well for them, and the Kuzits have respawns. So, odds are this is going to be a 3-0 on the first set here in favor of Nadros. Just speaking a little bit about the teams here, Firespark is a very lethal archer. He's just mounted up on a horse, so that's going to be a challenge for the infantry to deal with. It was already going to be really annoying to deal with him, and if he's on a horse, I don't see them really being able to catch him. Cavalry, if they didn't get knocked out there, maybe could have done something about that problem, but yeah, there's no chance here. With 3 cav up, 2 melee cav, there's essentially 0 chance here for VK's team, F1, F3, to pull together on this round. Now, there are still 3 sets left after this fight. This might be not too often that you see a one-handed sword kill. I think that I couldn't tell if that was a bump hit, but in either case, Firespark got a pretty nice melee kill with a sword on the last round of the first set. So this was a late start, catching up in the middle of the very last round of the first set. Apologies for that. That was mostly my fault. We also did have trouble getting any spectators to leave, so that was fun. So we'll try to join a little bit earlier next time. I had a comment in chat about axes. This is the mods. This is not completely native. This is the Bannerlord competitive skirmish overhaul mod, which is used by the MM guys. So that does make cav a little bit slower. I believe it makes the Kuzite cavalry a little bit better. I might actually have to double check. If I had a minute, I would want to check. Gonna check class specs while you guys are warming up. Don't mind me. So, the Nomad, I believe, definitely gets different perks. This is not a native perk. Line Breaker, getting that longer spear with the shield is not normal either. Mostly similar for Lancer. I think these are all native perks. Spear Infantry, might be a little bit different names, but mostly the same perks. If we go to Botania, Osworn, mostly native. I think this might be a different name in native, I don't recall. But Melee Expert Brawny, those are pretty normal. So, those are some differences in the balance. Okay, so, this is, once again, guys, not native, so the axe is not normally played with by Botania. They normally use a sword. But apparently on the Bannerlord mod, there are different meta perks, so you'll see different perks taken on native versus competitive skirmish overhaul matches. So that's, I'm remarking on that comment in chat. Okay, so the warm-up is ending in 20 seconds, and I'm going to remark a little bit about the players. So people who, pretty good players on both teams. Firespark's a really nasty archer, probably the best archer in the lobby right now. Innova is very solid on infantry. V's pretty decent on cav. B1's pretty good on cav. Phoenix is good on infantry. Innova's a pretty recent addition to VK, I know. They're doing their warm-ups right now. They're selecting their classes. I'm going to guess Firespark and Archer, either Peace and Gamer, probably both on cav. Probably V on cav, probably B1 on cav. I don't think that F1, F3 has an Archer player, but we will see here in about 5 seconds. And what else? So let's see what happens. Actually, Sly Marbo, not Gamer Guru on cav, and Petty Nadros was one that I expected. They're both going to C. That's Nadros has the hat, and Marbo does not, and B1's considering fighting him. One guy went around. That was pretty smart, I think. If they had been a little bit more distracted, that would have worked out well, but the Archer's going to get a nasty shot in here, potentially. Bad spot for V to be getting chased. I don't think he has the speed to get out of here. And, let's see. Okay. So, is a fight ongoing right now? It is. Maybe? No. No fight ongoing, but it might be developing here on B in a minute. Kuzates have only one flag, so they can't sit here for too long. No one has died yet. Firespark's got a 19 score. Nadros has gotten 5. That probably is not fully reflective of how much damage was done to V's horse, but I don't have the stream tools enabled, so I can't actually see all HP at all times. That'll be a future addition, hopefully. That was a really good throw from whoever that was. That was Flex. That was a huge throw. This guy's... Who was that? Was that... that was Patty's horse. It's got to be low. I'm going to guess that was at least 100 damage. He was walking away from it, but his horse has got to be below half. So that's going to be good for the Kuzates. They are rotating all the way around to C. They don't want to fight on B, I'm guessing. Because B is pretty good for their archer. If you go through the C side, it's not quite as easy for the archer to have a defensive position. But yeah, that's a good spot for the archer to sit on. So not a surprise about positioning here. There's usually a few obvious positions, and one's being used right now. All right, so the fight is about to start. This is the first fight. We're 5 minutes into the round of the second set. Current score is 3-0 in favor of Nadros against VK's team F1, F3. Fight is fairly even right now. And Nova going down is a big problem for the Kuzates. He's a pretty hard hitter. Yeah, this is going very poorly for the Kuzates. You know, what's unfortunate for the Kuzates is this is going to be their easiest round to win. So if they don't win this round, that's probably reflective of... And for obvious reasons, that's why this would be their easiest round. Kuzates can always afford 2 lives of Spear Infantry. Botania always goes Oathsworn and then Peasant. So that eco discrepancy where Kuzates get their 2 normal lives, and Botania doesn't, only for the first round. Kuzates are supposed to win, and they already have somebody, I think, somebody go all the way down? No. I think they've gotten a little bit hurt, but nobody went completely out. So there is a chance to win here. Oh, this guy's about to get knocked. He got so lucky that the other cav was not. That's huge. Is he out? That actually might have sealed the round in favor of VK's team, F1, F3. It's kind of an awkward name to say, to be honest, but that's a reference to the commands. You know, F1 brings up the command panel, and the F3 is charge. Everybody knows that, right? So anyways. Okay, so fight is developing, and B-Mama goes down in a duel pretty fast. And are they 2v1? Yeah, one guy's getting 2v1'd. That's a huge save from V on Peace, but infantry's still having a rough time of it. Let's see. One gets dismounted. One infantry was really split from the rest of the fight. That was a Nova. Oh, was Dave a respawn? Who was... I thought a Nova went down. It was somebody else then. Alright, well, they really had a chance here, but I don't see this happening. Okay. Well, that is now 4-0 in favor of all... what is it? Nadros' team. So, all Naddy, which is a play on words for Natty, which is a play on words for natural, because they're not on steroids. But apparently people would wonder, I guess. They've had a good performance so far against VK's team. 4-0 in their favor. I'll put that in chat. 4-0 in favor of all Naddy. Okay, here we go, starting again. This is a change in perks from Sly. He's going to go try to jab somebody in the face. Pretty underhanded tactic, very frustrating to fight against. The Botanian Jav Cav is really nasty when it's used well. It's both equal parts effective and frustrating when used correctly, because it's just so hard to punish without taking or risking taking a huge amount of damage. Now, it's pretty greedy to dismount to take the javelin, but he was not punished for it. And if somebody tried, they might have gotten shot by the archer. So Archer's setting up on the A side platform, and Kuzates are sitting on C. Where is the rest of their infantry? They're all in that house. So unlike last time where they went all the way around to avoid a fight on B, they're just going straight in. Did they have a comp change? I think they might have dropped... They did drop V from Cav, so there was a composition change from the Kuzates. The Inf line was having a rough time of it, apparently, so they're trying to adjust that. I don't think that V was bad Cav, but they wanted him on the infantry line, and he's pretty decent at infantry. You got one guy doing the archer, but, you know, Cav's helping the archer. It's going to be a problem, potentially. Cav is still up for Kuzates, kind of dueling both Cav right now. Infantry fight's very even, but I think that both Cav being up for Britannia is kind of a problem for Kuzates. This guy dueling the archer for ages is going to have an even harder time of it once the Cav arrive. I think I'm leaning slightly favored to Britannia winning this fight. Just with both Cav up. Yeah, that was kind of what I figured was going to happen. Not a terrible fight for the Kuzates, but it's a nasty shot from Firespark. Firespark's a very good archer, and, you know, not too surprised he's gotten a ton of score in the past couple of rounds. I'll hold down tab for a second. See at least the scores. Cav's going around from behind Kuzates. It's friendly. That was a missed jab from Sly that was reused by Britannia. This guy might go out here. I think that was a missed stab on that spear infantry, Kuzates. Well, you know, plenty of morale, I think, for both teams, although I don't actually have an accurate morale reading being a spectator. You guys probably already know that, but the morale reading is not accurate, so until we hear that sound, the last, you know, 30 seconds timer, we won't really know if there's morale pressure on one team. Although I can bet that Kuzates are a little bit hurt right now in morale. Probably not urgent, but probably not favorable. Alright, well, probably next round, if they don't win here, which I think these are still their first lives. Are they? Like, nobody's fully out, are they? Who's this guy? So this is Nadros, and this is Zilla. Oh, Zilla is last life. He's out. So no, I was wrong. They do have 3 out. This is winnable for Kuzates. And that is kind of surprised given how this matchup has been going so far. Extremely favored for all Naddy. And I just lost my own audio. I'm going to fix that real quick. You guys probably still... Did he, no, he's shooting. I thought he might have been shooting his own team for a second. It's gonna be an interesting duel, dismounted Cav and a mounted Cav, in a Spear Inf versus Archer and mounted Cav. I don't know. This is, the last guys in each team. It's a 2v3. You know? Cav's trying to create distance for the Archer. And if he distracts the infantry for long enough like this, if they allow themselves to be pushed back like that, they're going to get free shots for... Oh my god, that's insane, dude. That's crazy. I can't believe he's making these shots. 2 out of 3 perfectly in that distance. It's pretty nuts. And one was a foot shot. And that one was super close to hitting his foot. That is nuts. I think that Firespark might have clutched around for his team. And I don't know. At this point, it would have made sense to... That guy was so close as well. V almost just got shot in the back of his foot from a mile away. It would have made sense, I think, originally, to try to push the Archer. But in hindsight, that might have cost them the round. Because if they had held on to the flag, they could have stayed, you know, somewhere relatively protected from the Cav. Like this area right here that I'm pointing center of my screen. It's only like mainly 2 directions of approach, depending on where you're sitting, so... As long as you have a line of sight on the Cav and the Archer, there's a couple of decent spots for cover. This really is very much Archer and Cav favored. They have maneuverability with the cavalry, and they have the range with the Archer, and this gives them a chance to skirmish with, you know, very limited ability to respond from the Spear Inf. And this would have to be just very frustrating to be either... Yeah, that's a crazy... Was that a headshot? That was crazy. Firespark is kind of kind of a crazy cracked archer, and it's gotta be rough to be the spear infantry right now. And Nova, I'm sure that's crazy. That's crazy. 2 headshots. The foot shots are crazy. That whole round was nuts for Firespark. Well done. It's now a, what is that? They won 3 and 2, so that's now a 5-0 in favor of all Naddy. So we had a commenter, I think he's a spec. Was he a spec? Yeah, one of their spectators commented this. Is Chris Kyle over here, which I think is accurate. So, just like Firespark. Okay, so let's see what happens this time. Now, Kuzits finally have their 3rd life. The Kuzate economy is one of the more unique economies of any given faction. You know, Vlandia, Botania, they're a lot more. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, something about the javelins. They're just so nasty. Especially in a 2v1, getting jabbed is just... yeah, this guy's having a really rough time of it. B1. That is disgusting. B1 has got to be pissed. I would be beyond frustrated if I was B1. Got stabbed by one guy, got javelined immediately thereafter by another guy, and then just got shot in the foot or the head, I forget which, but it was... that was brutal. This is not going very well for VK's team. Which I say as a current member. So that is, you know, hopefully they are not too frustrated with the situation so far. Well, hopefully they still do their best. Usually this is around the point at which a team would be ready to go home and take a nap. So we'll see. We'll see if they, you know, rage quit early or something. I don't think it'll happen. But it's getting to that point. It might be under consideration. So, very impressive archer here with Firespark. I mean, he's really kind of carrying his team. It doesn't really necessarily reflect in score, but having an asset like this who can just kind of brutalize any cavalry who's in his, you know, line of sight for even a few seconds... it's rough, and just being able to make these consistent headshots, and that's not an easy shot. He almost made that one too. These close range headshots, these close range feet shots are not easy, and it's a very high rate of success making those. And good awareness right there. Now we'll see how good he's at blocking. That was a decent attempt, but 2v1 like that's rough when they're 180 degrees away from you. This fight is probably doing okay for the Kuzits right now. And, let's see how this goes. Okay. Kuzits, I mean, hopefully have a better chance here with the archer being dead early. Firespark is now firing at V. I believe shot him when he's on infantry. They're probably going to take more shots here from the archer, right? Is he right there? I can't see him. He's over there from spawn. Taking shots from this, Kuzit archer. Had an attempted bump stab from whoever this cav is. It did not appear to work. A sly. So actually B1 went archer instead of cav. I think I got myself confused when I said that, yeah, something else that was incorrect. Yeah, we have comments that maybe, you know, Firespark and Gamer Guru and BDiv is not appropriate. I think it's questionable. These divisions are not perfect. There's some level of subjectivity, of course. So that was another nasty headshot. And that was a foot shot that would have landed if he had not jumped right there. It was close. This guy's about to get hit in the back. Yes. All right, another pretty difficult round, but I mean, Kuzits did kind of win that first fight. Although B1's out, so that's a big problem. They both have one out. It is now a 5-0 in favor of all Naddy, and basically it is a 5-5. There's some sort of fight going on in the spawn area right now. Is he isolated without his team? Where are they? So the Kuzits are fighting while V is in spawn. It's not good that they're fighting and they're missing some guy who's throwing rocks, but I guess it's his third life he's saving. It's his third life, maybe it's his second still. I think that F1, F3 could pull off a round win here. And at least, you know, if they don't win at least one round on this map, that would mean the best that they could do overall is pull out a draw. Okay. Everyone has lives except for B1, who remains out. Didn't really see if they got a ton of damage. B got lucky. No, he did not get lucky. I spoke too soon. I was gonna say a bump stab almost landed, but didn't. The Uzates are having a rough time with this cavalry fight, having no cav, no spears. It's not a lot that they can do in an open area. Probably should have hugged the wall right here that I'm looking at, like this market stall. Would have been ideal to hug that and push up the platform maybe, but that's all in hindsight, and I'm not being shot at right now. So that was rough. That brings it to a 6-0 in favor of all Naddy. Okay. Top scorers are Paddy Nadros, 1285, followed by Firespark, 972, followed by Sly Marbo with 929. And we're going to move on to the next map here in a minute. Okay. Alright. Now, while I have a minute, I'm going to see if I can check if any of the players on their team... Sorry. I was getting pinged in a DM while trying to comment out loud about my thoughts here. There will probably be a short break, but in any case... I want to take a look at the team sign-up pages and just review. So, the original starters for F1, F3, that's VK's team, they're in the B Division, and the captain is B Mama, also, I think, known as Yapper, and also V, B1 Battle Droid, Flex Tape, Innova, Solirix with backups, Phoenix, Person Gedrix, and Dark. I played those guys for quite a while, also Chaotic. Those guys are all pretty solid in infantry. B1's pretty good on cav. V's pretty good on cav. I would say I can probably beat B1 and V fairly consistently on cav, but I am in a division above, and I may or may not have any life, so that does help. And for the all Naddy team, let's take a look at their roster. Their starters. So, their captain is Paddy Nadros, as you might have guessed. And their other players are By Paladin, who I don't know very well. Peace, who I know is pretty solid on cav. Zilla, who I think I might recognize, but don't know very well. Gamer Guru, who is a very well-known matchmaking player for Skirmish, so he's pretty solid, probably... if anyone on these teams could be a div, I would say maybe Gamer Guru, probably Firespark, maybe Paddy Nadros would be pretty close to... They could certainly not be the top performer on an A team, but I think they could be at least a sub for an A division team. And again, all these divisions are fairly subjective, and hopefully once we have a more consistent, just schedule of tournaments, hopefully these divisions will be a little more solidified. Finishing out the roster for all Naddy. Again, a B Division team. Firespark, also starter. Their backups are Bino, Tops, Guten Chad, and Sly. So I know several of these players. Paddy I know, solid on cav. By Paladin I have no idea. P solid on cav. Zilla don't know. Game Guru solid on Archer. Cav, probably infantry as well. I've mostly seen him play Archer and Cav. And Firespark, crazy Archer. Bino, also very good Archer, but I have not seen him that much. And Guten Chad I'm familiar with. Tops I'm familiar with, but I don't I know of them, but I don't know much about them. One thing I will say is that I use the term MM for Bannerlord matchmaking, if I'm ever referring to the VK, the Valiant Knights, or Valiant Knights matchmaking. I'll use the word VKMMM for just VKMM, and if I'm referring to BLMM, I'm going to say just MM. The VK matchmaking is native, with a very minor adjustment to the Crusade spear length and spear infantry speed. Spear length for the cavalry and speed for the infantry. Fire Sparks on crossbow, no surprise there. Nadros and Sly on cav, pretty similar to their first map composition. And we have V on cav again, along with V1, so they reverted back to having V on cav on this map. And I think Paddy is up in this fight by a little bit. No, actually V got 95 score, Paddy got 71, so I don't know if it's equal to horse or rider for which player. But yeah, Firespark lands that shot immediately, so I think that was V. Whoever that was, his horses are probably pretty low. That was V1. Now this is a very risky spot for Cav. So V1 almost got punished super hard for rounding the corner. And again, with this Archer and these two Cav players, they're really able to dominate the battlefield and hold flags, and it's going to lead to a lot of morale pressure against the F1, F3 team. Let's go spectate Firespark. Let's see what happens here. I mean, I think the fight will orbit around Firespark, so V is knocked out on his first life. He got a fair bit of score, but I'm sure he hit somebody. But that's probably not worth it. And I think is that him right there? That was a close shot. That would have hit if he had not moved a little bit. If he moves any slower, that would have been a bad news, and that is the second life, so getting hurt in your second life is a big problem. You know, Empire should win this round for reasons of economy. Similar to the Crusades, the Empire get their legionary infantry, just like the spear infantry, can always spawn both full lives normally. That was a very close shot from Firespark. Again, if the Cav had just moved a little bit differently. Now, it looks like the Empire is playing somewhat passively, waiting for them to come through. Current score is, again, 6-0 in favor of all Naddy. And the round looks like it's still pretty even, but definitely favoring the Vlandian side, which is all Naddy's side right now. The Empire, F1, F3 is pushing in. Firespark might have shot his own teammate. And he just shoots a leg at his Cav and hits him immediately, knocks him out. He's actually completely out. Kind of a throw from V. And I mean, he should have let the first life Cav do that. I mean, I get why he did that, because if he doesn't get the Archer out, he's also getting focused by the Archer. So it's not like easier said than done to not do that. But I don't know. Coming in or not coming in on second life Cav, I do it a lot. I usually don't get knocked out early, but super risky versus a player like Firespark. Would have been ideal to do it only when Firespark is engaged with infantry. It's one of those things where it's always easier said than done. Not sure where that shot went. Getting pushed on this side. Are those their second lives coming in? Those. Wow, they already have. Now it's very odd. They must have made us a bad call here, or there's more morale pressure than I realized. Again, as a spectator, the morale numbers are not fully accurate. So I'm assuming that we have two options here. There was either a ton of morale pressure on Empire and they had to trickle in and fight separately from their team, or they fought separately from their team for no reason and they threw the round. So that's now a 7-0 in favor of all Naddy, and that means that VK F1, F3 can no longer pull off a win or a or a draw. So that is overall decided on the first round of the second map, which is Fort of Honor. Our first map was Town Outskirts. This is a non-native map, unlike the previous one, which is a native map. No, actually, I think VK might have got one round. I mean, I have to go back through my stream. I don't recall if they did get one round. Let's double check. I need to go double check my my own stream. There's a cab build on here. I kind of missed most of it. Okay, well, that fight was also another bad fight for Empire. I think so far they have won maybe... I don't think they've won a round yet, but they have won an initial fight. They just ended up still not winning the round. Alright, well this is the last lives versus the first lives. They have to take essentially no damage from all Naddy on Grandia to have a chance of winning. And one of their infantry, both their infantry took a nasty hit from the cavalry. They're having a ton, somebody's gonna get knocked out here for sure. I feel like it's gonna be a miracle if nobody on Empire on VK's team dies right here. Yeah, somebody got knocked out because they were taking tons of hits from cavalry. And they already have 2 out, looks like. I didn't even notice when V went down. Firespark knocks out Phoenix, and then is able to run away. HG Cav helping him. It's got to be incredibly frustrating to not even be able to knock out the first life archer. He's still first life. He's just running away. Can't catch him. And now they're fighting their second lives. Firespark's gonna come back in and start shooting them. Good shot. Okay. It's pretty brutal. We're now on the third set, second map. There is probably, I'm gonna guess here, 4 more rounds to go. If all Naddy wins the next round and then 3 rounds in a row, which seems to be the well-established pattern at this point, unfortunately for the VK team, that will be game over. So, all right. Any changes to composition? Sly is now in heavy cav. And that is the only change. What I would say here about the match, I mean, at this point, I think that the details of the game are pretty well decided. B-Mama really should be able to see that, hopefully. I mean, they need better links. I don't know. And, you know, VK Cav was capping while their teams get obliterated by cavalry. B-Mama gets knocked out. He was a guy who got hit first, so he got hit twice by that. But I'm gonna chill out a little bit about the play-by-play and comment more gently about what could they have done differently to not have such a miserable match, if anything. You know, was this winnable? Was it not winnable? I would say, you know, with these players, was it a matter of just, you know, deploying them incorrectly? If they had done something differently, it would have been winnable. I'm not really convinced there was a whole lot they could have done differently. I mean, maybe at this point, if I was in F1, F3, I might call for an all-recruit round. Because the cavalry's, you know, pretty nasty and the archer's pretty nasty. I don't think that would have worked either, but you don't want to throw any rounds that you might win. Because usually in skirmish tournaments, I mean, number one, there are stats that are tracked. So throwing rounds makes you look worse on paper, and more importantly, a lot of tournaments end up using rounds won as tiebreakers. Now, I actually forget some of the relevant details, but what I do remember vaguely is that with how many matches are going to be played, they will still be able to factor in rounds imperatively. I believe if teams are tied in number of matches won, then the number of rounds won will be determinant in certain comparisons of who gets into the finals. But that's kind of just me extrapolating from previous tournaments, and I don't actually know 100% that that's accurate. So somebody will probably call me dumb for not knowing, which is fair. I should know, but I don't. It's kind of a last-minute stream here. Somebody actually was not planning to stream this game today, but kind of got called in last minute. I normally would check these things beforehand, but, you know, sometimes you have an unprepared team and an unprepared stream. So that's 3-0 in favor of all Naddy. There's a scoreboard. 184 from Nadros, 181 from Firespark, 814 from Gamer Guru, and those are the top scorers, I believe. Yeah. Brings it up to a 9-0. Okay, well, that is pretty brutal. I think there's not much left to guess here about how this will work out. I think we have a 12-0 here. It would be nice if F1, F3 could win one round on Blandia. You know, some people have said that VK never loses on Blandia. I'm not sure if we will see that bear out in practice, but fingers crossed. And yeah, yeah, really some very solid players from F1, F3. I actually kind of got my train of thought, you know, derailed here for a minute. This is also a non-native perk, if you're wondering. This is not native armor. It looks great, actually. Smart decision to use it. I mean, it's native armor, but it's not native to multiplayer, which is probably why there's that weird visual bug. So anyways, I don't think that... Well, I mean, we have some very solid players from F1, F3. Like, Dark's pretty good on Cav. Why do I have him muted, actually? Dark's pretty good on Cav. V's pretty good in Cav. He's good at infantry. You know, B1's pretty solid in Cav. Like, Flex Tape, I believe, is pretty good at infantry, from what I recall. Phoenix is pretty scary at inf, too. From what I remember, B-Bomb is pretty good on infantry, too. It's like, not like any of these players are bad players. I think that they're just a little bit outclassed, like, just on overall. I don't know that... I wouldn't say that the infantry and all Naddies are necessarily carrying them. I mean, Gamma doing a little bit. But I think the real problem here is just F1, F3 does not have any archers who, as far as I know, could come close to matching Firespark. And Firespark is bringing just an impossible obstacle for them to beat. I mean, they were super close to a round win. On Town Outskirts, that one round where Firespark did his Chris Kyle impersonation. And they still lost because he made a ton of crazy shots. Like, what was that? Like, you know, 2 crazy put shots, like crazy headshots, just, it was nuts. So, not having somebody on par with Firespark, definitely a rough time. You know, archers are definitely the highest skill ceiling class, and so that's why I think you tend to see, you know, a lot fewer players at a higher level who are cavalry, you know, archer than anything else. There are plenty of high-tier infantry and high-tier cavalry. High-tier archers are a little bit less common, and the thing is, like, there are plenty of guys who are decent at archer, but to make those headshots and foot shots on people who are blocking with any degree of consistency is super hard. And having, you know, being able to like, kind of just turn and headshot or leg shot at charging cavalry who you were not really expecting in a very short order, that is the part where, you know, a high skill archer sets himself apart, and there's nobody on VK's team who would do that for them right now. So it looks like Patty's going to go try to hit somebody from the rear here. Do they have an archer now? V's an archer. He is actually not a bad archer, but he's very elevated here for a lot of HP. That's a lot. 70 damage. He's almost out. If he gets one, if he gets a clipped hit from, let's see, do we have Firespark still an archer? We now have 3 bodyguards for V, which is a little bit excessive, probably. Is there anybody going around here to hit him? No, not right now. Have his dueling. Probably gonna get shot by Firespark, and we'll see what happens. So that's a friendly cap, so they're actually not gonna shoot him. So the F1, F3, VK's team only has one flag, and V's low on HP, so he can't really duel Fire Spark. He's just sitting up there, waiting for somebody to push him, but they're not going to push because they have both flags. You know, all Naddy, they can just sit here and build morale pressure. The game is just slowly going in their favor as they sit here. So, yeah. Now, not only has the overall match been going very poorly for VK's team, but given that this is Empire versus Vlandia, this is the hardest round for Vlandia to win, so I am thinking it's a safe bet, a very safe bet, that F1, F3 will lose this round especially. It's going to be even harder than the next two. Dark is dismounted way away from most of his team. That is a disaster. It'd almost be better if he was actually fully dead. Like having a wounded guy who's a mile away from the fight, you just can't get there in time. I think Firespark just landed a nasty jump hit. Let's see what happens here. That was a close shot. I think he would have been hit if he had not moved that way. Nasty. Alright, well, they're on their last lives on F1, F3, and V is respawning. Let's see what he respawns. He's doing Archer or Peasant, we'll see. He went Peasant Levy instead of going ranged, which is, maybe just an eco decision, because this round's already lost, so him going Archer... Is that his last life? Why would he do that? That was... Well, understandably, they're not taking it super seriously at this point, but it was still a little bit of a throw from Dark. See if the shovel can do some work here. Yeah, I think the shovel play might be an indication that this team's a little bit demoralized at this point. Can't blame them. So only 2 deaths that entire half on all Naddy. So that is kind of depressing. We get a fair bit of score as Archer and Peasant. I mean, that's good, I guess. Almost everybody on VK's team got below 100 score per round. I mean, usually infantry can do something along, vaguely around, 200, 250 on a maybe higher or better round, and Cavs oftentimes, somewhere in the range of at worst high 200s, at best mid 400s, or depending on kind of what division and what your team comp is like. I think Cav chose a good time to crash, but they missed their stab. VK's team was a good stab from Dark, whatever that was. Archer's getting pushed harder this time, but with no infantry alive nearby the Archer, the Cav couldn't really double team effectively, and this fight actually was not as bad as the first fight, I think, but looks like all their Cav is up, and they one Inf and their Archer. Archer got more damage this time than in previous cases. That was what I'm talking about with, high skill archers. Dark is on his last life, and he tried to joust the Archer, get him out on his first life, which definitely not worth it against a player like Firespark. That was not worth it. That was a bad call. That was... He actually got unbelievably lucky having only a shield break there. He really could have easily had his horse knocked out from under him. Usually really a terrible idea to try to block a charging couch. You always want to try to outrange them. The thing about couching is you're usually pretty set into a lock speed. So as long as the guy getting charged sees it and times it correctly, and usually aims high so you don't get a horse. What? Let's see. Alright, well, already several players out on VK's team, and nobody out on Empire. I think that this round is also cooked. think the outcome is pretty close to predetermined. Just have to see it out. V is now taking the Morning Star, which is a non-native perk that does not exist in native skirmish. I believe it's a native weapon, but definitely not in multiplayer by default. Okay, Mr. Paddy Nadros has, what is it, 415 and change score per round. And, let me see. Yeah, so like I was saying, I kind of have had this train of thought, stop and start 5 times over. Again, the Fire Spark skill diff here with the archers, I mean, I think he's a decent archer. But it's not a match for Fire Spark. So, I mean, I think at this point, maybe we made the argument for Fire Spark to be an A div instead of B div, but definitely not my call, and I don't really have much of a stake in that decision. So, anyways, I think it's the specialties that are mostly deciding this this fight being so one-sided. I don't think that, like, you know, Gamer Guru and Peace and Zilla, those 3 inf. I think you put those guys against, like, you know, Phoenix and B-Mama and this is my last guy here. Flex Tape. I'm pretty sure, you know, if the 3M are fighting just 3M, you know, I don't know that the VK team would win, but I'm sure it would be way closer. So, specialty classes, the skill difference there really can create these huge one-sided wins, even if the infantry lines are pretty similar. So, specialty classes are DPS and kind of your, I mean, they are special. So, one really good archer who just kind of doesn't go down, doesn't miss, makes the important shots, can really punish the enemy team. Yikes. Dark side out here, I think. That was smart. But Jesus. He's going for an axe kill here. We'll see what happens. It's close. Jesus Christ, dude. Nice. Might be one of the only kills I've seen by cavalry on Fire Spark this whole match. I fought Fire Spark myself in an MM game one time. I just felt like, you know, no matter where I approached him from, he always saw me coming. Like, I would try to, like, find tight corners on Cherise or Sheris. I mean, it's funny, it's like spelled Cherise in Warband, but it's spelled Sheris in the map for Skirmish for Bannerlord. But, in any case, he is not fun to fight against for cavalry. Like I said, like I would try sneaking up against him, like, you know, from behind a wall, like this far away, and, you know, by the time I got to him, he would just shoot me in the leg, and it was not fun for me. So, I feel their pain. I've been there, and if you don't have an equally skilled archer, you can shoot their cav. It's gonna be rough. I think that his team has kind of given up on playing cohesively at all. They're kind of just doing stuff mostly randomly here. It's hard to see if it's true. Jesus Christ. Nice kick. Alright, well, at least they made it through without rage quitting. 12-0 in favor of all Naddy. Now, yeah, I could have sworn, you know, they got really close to taking a single round, but I think maybe one or two, at least once they were really close. That time where it was a 3v2 Cavan Archer versus the 3 Infantry. But besides that, I don't know that they got close elsewhere. Anyways, I think that Nadros just, you know, said that VK's IGL or in-game lead was very questionable. I want to put it in nicer terms. Not sure how true that is or not, to be honest. I don't think that there was a whole lot else you could have done differently. And yeah, obviously there were, you know, especially when they were not taking it seriously and they're taking the Morning Star or like the shovel. That probably, you know, you could have done that differently. But that was when the match was already decided 100%. So, good news for anyone who had a fantasy team which included any of these players like Firespark. You know, in hindsight, having Firespark in B Division would have been a really good pick for somebody. I'm sure he's going to, you know, perform well probably for the rest of this division as well. So, match is over, 12-0 in favor of all Naddy. Sure, it's a rough and hair-winning experience for F1, F3, but they tried their best. Hopefully they learn from it. You know, it might be encouragement to practice more. I don't know. I think the team's real shortcoming is, you know, V doesn't have 1,000 hours on Archer, but we'll see. Anyways, I will wrap it up here, guys. Good night, and we'll see you later. And there'll probably be a few more streams for PSL. I have my own matches coming up in the future, so see y'all later. Don't spam my chat.